Hello there everyone, hope you all doing fine. So up to this video we've gone through some data types and data structures and mostly the basics of Python, but in this video we're going to do something a little bit different. In this video we're going to start the real programming because we're going to be talking about if statements. So what are if statements? Every programming language has its own kind of if statements. If statements is something that tells you if this operation is right, do this next block of code. Otherwise, execute the other block of code. It's just a way to tell the compiler if this is right, do this, and if it is not right, do the other thing. Just a way to like differentiate between stuff and specify which block of code should be executed. Well, for us to understand this, we'll have to make some examples. You first start with typing this keyword if, and you give it a condition that results in true or false. If it results in true, that means that the next block of code will get executed. Otherwise, the next block of code, which is prefixed with else, will get executed. Here, let's give it something that results in a Boolean value. A Boolean value is true or false, like we mentioned in other videos. For example, we're going to say if 1 is equal, like the same as 1, execute what's here. Let's see, 1. Otherwise, execute the other thing, which is not 1. If I hit Control B, I see that the result is 1. This block of code gotten executed because this then resulted in true. If it did like a result in false, for example, I gave it 3, 1 is equal to 3, which is impossible. This one will get ignored, this line right here, and the other one will get executed. So we should see not 1 printed in the console. I hit Control B and I see not 1. Of course, we won't be using static values like this. We'll be using variables that store data inside of them. So here is what we're going to do. We're going to write a small program that takes like some data from the user, and based on that data we're going to decide whether we should print true or false. The way you get your data from the user is by making use of the input function. The input function just takes data from the user. In our case, that will be we, of course, but this is pretty much advanced, so we'll just use some predefined dummy data. Let's see, for example, we have a number here. It just gives a variable name of number. Let's give it 12. Here we're going to do a test. We're going to say if number is an even number. The way you check if a number is even or odd is by doing the following. We make use of the modulus character. We say if number modulus 2 is equal to 0, that means that if this number, which is 12, excluding all the 2's that it includes, the result is 0, that means it's even. Print that our number is even. Otherwise, if it's not even, it should be, you guessed it, should be odd. Here, if I hit Control B, I see even printed on the console because 12 is even. If I for example, give it the number 13, which is odd, I get odd here. If I have more than one condition, I can add another block here by saying elif. It stands for else if. Instead of saying else if, we just take these two letters and create the word elif. In other programming languages, of course, you use the else if like that completely without excluding any others. So let's do another check. We have for example a number 13. We say if it is even, print even. If it is odd, print odd. I guess these are the only two things that we can check. So let's do another check. We have a number here. We can say if it is like positive, greater than 0, print positive. Positive, and if it is less than 0, print negative. And the only option that is left, that if it is not positive or not negative, then it is strictly equal to 0. That's the only option that is left. So all we have to do is to hit Control B, and we see positive printed here because 13 is positive. If I put a negative sign here and I hit Control B, I see that this is negative. If I put 0 here and I hit Control B, I get this value here, which is 0, equal to 0, because I have 0 here, self-explanatory. And of course you don't have to use like a condition like directly typed here in front of this if. You can store the boolean value that's going to come out of this condition in a variable, and just put the variable here. We can, for example, let's go back to our even and odd condition. We have a number here, let's see, 54, and here we can say is even. This is a variable that I created myself. Here we see whether it's even or not. As we did before, we check whether it is even or not by using this measureless character. If number measureless 2 is equal to 0, that means that our number is even. Here we just put if, and directly we typed our variable. If it is even, we print even. Otherwise it is odd, just like that. I hit Control B and I see even, because this is even variable stores the boolean value that comes out of this condition. Well, these are if statements. We have the if this pass keyword basically means it's like a placeholder. If you have nothing to type here, it just you just type pass, so you don't get an error. It doesn't do anything. It just takes the place until you have some real code you want to type there. Elif and else. With these 3 keywords, you can check whatever condition you have. You can use it in other stuff as well, not just checking whether a number is even or positive or negative. And we're going to go through those, of course, once we start creating real projects. Well, this is it for this video. We just talked about if statements. We saw how do they work. They basically just take a boolean value. You can't, like, for example, say if and give it here an integer value or a string or something like that. You must give it a boolean value, because based on that result that comes out of that boolean value, whether it's true or false, the next block of code gets executed. And of course it doesn't have to be just a print function. You can, like, for example, add something here, or just execute whatever code you want to execute. And that's it. These are if else statements, and in the next video we'll be talking about some other topics. Perhaps we'll be talking about loops, so stay tuned, and hope you enjoyed this video. Take care.